Mr. Holmes, the game is afoot. I suppose I owe you all an explanation. This video is inspired by the trying to solve an Agatha Christie novel videos by a YouTuber named Emmy. So basically what she does in those videos is she reads an Agatha Christie novel and tries to solve it before the answer to the mystery is revealed in the book. I really enjoy those videos and I wanted to do one of my own, but I have never read an Agatha Christie novel because I get pretty freaked out when it comes to murder mysteries. So I'm going to do the same thing as she does in her videos and apply it to Sherlock Holmes because I love Sherlock Holmes. So I'm going to be trying to solve the adventure of the Silver Blaze before Sherlock Holmes can. The problem is, like, I've never read this short story, so I don't know how it's gonna go. I'm probably just gonna be making predictions along the way, and yeah, we're just gonna have a lot of fun with it. Hello, my name is Tessa Irene Adler. As you are my new assistant, you may take any notes or make any predictions as you see fit. But you must promise me to stay out of trouble. We don't want Mr. Holmes knowing of our endeavours. Now, we have a mystery to solve and a detective to humble. So let's begin the story. I am afraid, Watson, that I shall have to go, said Holmes, as we sat down together to our breakfast one morning. Go? Where to? To Dartmoor, to King's Pyland. I was not surprised. There was but one problem before the public which could challenge his powers of analysis, and that was the singular disappearance of the favourite for the Wessex Cup and the tragic murder of its trainer. I felt that it was time for me to take action. You have formed a theory, then? At least I have got a grip of the essential facts of the case. I have a whiteboard now, and on it are certain observations that I've made from what Sherlock Holmes has already discovered about this mystery. It appears that he has already known about this mystery before the story starts, which does put us at a slight disadvantage, but I think we'll be able to catch up if we pay extra close attention. Now, this is the murder of John Straker, who is a horse trainer for one of the most prized horses of the Wessex Cup. The Wessex Cup is about to happen, and everyone thinks that this horse, Silver Blaze, is going to win. The race, that is. To set the scene here, this mystery takes place in a stable, and just so you know, and this may be important, I don't know, but there is a training establishment 2 miles away, and it is called Mapleston, and it is owned by Lord Backwater. The name implies disdain, but it is run by one Silas Brown, and that is where the background information ends. sorry to ruin the aesthetic for you, but I had to paraphrase what I'm about to read a lot, so it's on here. Today we arrive at the scene of the crime. On that evening, the stables were locked up at 9 o'clock. The lad Ned Hunter remained on guard. Edith, the maid, carried down to the stables his supper, which consisted of curried mutton. She was in 30 yards of the stable when a man appeared out of the darkness and called to her to stop. "Can you tell me where I am?" he asked. "You are close to the King's Pylon trading stables," she said. "Oh, indeed, what a stroke of luck." She was frightened by the earnestness of his manner, and ran past him to the window through which she was accustomed to hand the meals. It was already open, and Hunter was seated at the table inside. She had begun to tell him what had happened, when the stranger came up again. Hunter sprang up and rushed across the stable to unloose the dog. He locked the door before he left it. The window, I may add, was not large enough for a man to go through. Straker was excited on hearing the account, and said that he intended to walk down to the stables to see that all was well. At 7 in the morning, he had not yet returned. Once investigated, the door to the stable was found open. Inside, Hunter was sunk in a state of absolute stupor, and the favorite stall was empty, and there was no signs of his trainer. About a quarter of a mile from the stables, John Straker's overcoat was flapping from a bush. Immediately beyond was the dead body of the unfortunate trainer. Now, I'm going to make my own predictions before I read Mr. Holmes's. What I think happened was that the envelope that the man tries to give to the maid has the drug in it, and it's revealed that there's opium in Ned's dinner when it was investigated. Now you may wonder, when would he do that? Well, and it says here, the boy locked the door before he left it. The window, I may add, was not large enough for a man to get through. The window was too small for a man to fit through. So when this man is leaning out of the window, he can't get through. And so he goes back inside of the stable. Then he puts the opium into Ned's supper. And when Mr. Straker goes to investigate, he lets the man out. And he lets the horse out, which is what this whole thing is about. But those were my two conclusions. Now let's see what Mr. Holmes has to say. But before we get into that, there is a little section where Sherlock is saying what the police think of this case, and usually in Sherlock Holmes stories, the police are always incorrect. So, this is what they have to say, and I'm going to share this with you because it raised a few questions that I didn't really think about before. I didn't figure out how the horse thief could have gotten the horse out of the stable because he didn't have a key. And I'm wondering who had the key, because if the maid had it, he could have just taken it from her. But if the stable boy had it, then I don't really know how he would have taken it. Oh, he could have taken it when he drugged the stable boy. But if neither of them had it, then how could this man have gotten the horse out of the stable? And also the other thing, the police arrested the man named Fitzroy Simpson, and all evidence points to him being the man who was at the stable, who was the stranger, except for the fact that there was no wound on him and the dead body of John Straker was found with a knife that had blood on it. However, I shall very quickly test the matter when I am once upon the spot, and until then, I really cannot see how we can get much further than our present position. There are 3 primary suspects, and they are Silas Brown, who runs Maplestone, which is the training establishment 2 miles away, Fitzroy Simpson, who was arrested by the police, and, hear me out, John Straker himself. It seems that John Straker has been practicing a surgical technique that has the effects of making animals lame. Now, how did I come to this? Well, Straker's body was found with him holding a knife, and this knife was said to be made for delicate work, and it had blood on it. But Fitzroy Simpson, who I believe was the one to murder John Straker, was not found with a knife wound, and neither was Straker. So it must have been something else. Now, I'm going to read you a quote from this short story. "You have a few sheep in the paddock," he said. "Who attends to them?" "I do, sir." "Have you noticed anything amiss with them of late?" "Well, sir, not on much account, but 3 of them have gone lame, sir." I could see that Holmes was extremely pleased, for he chuckled and rubbed his hands together. "Now later, is there any other point to which you would wish to draw my attention? To the curious incident of the dog in the night time?" "The dog did nothing in the night time. That was the curious incident," remarked Sherlock Holmes. "So, sheep have been found lame, Straker has been found with a bloodied knife, and the dog has been found to do nothing. So I believe that Straker must have injured the dog. But why is the question? I don't believe that Straker was successful in injuring the horse because the horse was not found. Obviously, if it could walk all the way to Maplestone, then it wasn't that injured. So that is all that I have gathered for now." Holmes was entirely absorbed in his own thoughts. There was a gleam in his eyes and a suppressed excitement in his manner which convinced me that his hand was upon a clue, though I could not imagine where he had found it. This is the part in the video where I start to get a little bit scared because Sherlock Holmes has just left the scene of the crime. He goes home to think about everything that he has seen, and now he is somewhere other than his apartment. Does he live in an apartment? His, Baker Street place, whatever. I assume he's done his thinking because now he's at the horse race. And I have a feeling something's going to happen. It's really hard to understand because I don't know a thing about horse races. It's not like I am not following the mystery. I literally cannot understand the English that is being used here. Like, it doesn't make comprehensive sense in my mind. Like, look at this word. I don't know what that is. I can't tell what that is. I feel like I'm gonna lose this battle between Sherlock and I. There's just not enough information. How could it possibly be literally any of the characters that we have met so far? My biggest guess would be, it would have to be Fitzroy Simpson. But that seems like that's too uncomplicated, too boring for this story, but he is the one that makes the most sense. No. What? How long? Oh my gosh, it's like the last page. This makes absolutely no sense. So it seems that I am so good at refraining from spoiling books on this channel that I forgot to mention who actually murdered Straker and what is the actual answer. Spoiler alert. The horse killed Straker. I did not see that coming. But Straker was behind everything else. His motive was that he wanted to buy his wife a new dress but didn't have the money for it. And that was revealed through the rest of the contents of his pocket other than the knife, which I thought was completely unrelated, but it was actually the key to the whole thing. I think Sherlock found like a check in his pocket or something. Anyway, that's that. And he also was the one to choose the curried mutton for the night that the stable boy was drugged, and it needed to be curried or else the stable boy would taste the opium, which again, I thought the curried mutton was just there for extra information to kind of throw you off, but it was actually the key to the whole thing. And the dog did nothing, not because the dog was lame, but because Straker was a familiar person to the dog, which I don't know why I didn't see that before. I guessed it immediately, like right before Sherlock was explaining it in here. I should have guessed that sooner, I think. The whole drama with Simpson, I'm really sorry, but I don't know why Simpson was there. And like, I have a feeling that it is explained in here, but I kind of forget now because it's been a while since I've actually read this, and I've been looking and I can't find any Simpson explanation in here, so I don't know why he was there. I don't know if he's related to the crime at all. It could be just that he was there wanting to get information on Silver Blaze, or he was somehow making a bet with Straker or something, but I don't know what it is, so you're gonna have to read it for yourself. I'm sorry, I failed you. One thing that I thought was kind of important to mention, even though it wasn't really part of the mystery, was that Silver Blaze was found at Mapleston. He was just being kept there for safety. He was found in the moor during the night, so anybody at Mapleston was not involved in the crime. And because of that instance, that happened like long before the horse race, and Silver Blaze actually competed in the horse race. The main mystery is who killed John Straker, that was what I was turning my attention to most. It was mainly the mystery of who killed John Straker and why was he in that position. But anyway, I think that was all that needed to be explained. I'm pretty proud of how much I guessed, like pretty much from the very beginning I guessed that Straker was involved in some way, and he was, so I'm gonna call that a win. I didn't guess everything, but I did predict some things. Oh, and also I was correct about Straker practicing on the sheep, so yeah, gonna say that is good.
Well, my dear assistant, that is a mystery solved and an investigation over. While we didn't manage to beat Sherlock Holmes to the end of this case, at least we managed to keep up with him, and until next time, I remain forever yours, Tessa Irene Adler.
I can't believe this video is over. You think you're done? Just you wait. It took forever to film. I really enjoyed doing this, and I hope to see you soon with some more adventures. Goodbye.